Hello, and welcome to my public life as an American nerd. I am Eddie. I'm here with two guests, Kat Atomic and Lauren KURTZ, Copper Top Inc. And Kat Atomic is by Kat Atomic. They're two artists that are local artists. Hello, guys.
Hello.
How are you guys doing?
We're
They're.
good.
How are you, Kat?
I'm good.
That's good. You guys are going to appear at Scare Fair in October 30th. It's an event that we're having up in Victorville, California at the San Bernardino Fairgrounds. And I want to invite these two on to my podcast to get a little glimpse into their art and their lives and kind of introduce them before the show. Now, you are both artists. Kat, how long have you been doing art?
Well, basically, it started when I was in high school. Like, I took all the art classes, and basically, at the end of high school, when it came time to apply to college, I actually wanted to apply to art school, and then ultimately kind of made the decision to go the traditional college route. So I kind of took a really long hiatus from art, and then basically during the pandemic, when the boredom was high, I just started drawing, and I started drawing a lot. And I realized that that's still like a passion that I had that I hadn't forgotten about, and sort of the birth of my store and my art, kind of it all started last year basically.
Now, did you go to an art school, an art college?
No, I wanted to though.
Okay. And Lauren, how did you get started?
Kind of similar. I've drew since I was a little kid, and I drew for a lot of years, and I went to like an art college, well, El Camino College for like a short time, and I kind of got discouraged. And I'm not saying anything about art school. I think art school is great, but I got very discouraged, and so I quit. So I was a art school dropout, and I decided that I wanted to do something different, and so I got into makeup. So I did makeup for years and years, and with that, I kind of learned how to do like little things called face charts and add makeup to paper, things like that. And then I thought it would be kind of fun just to see what it would look like to put makeup on maybe a little character. And then I started drawing again because I stopped drawing for a really long time. Um, and then that kind of caught on a little bit. And so I've been just kind of decided to make art a whole job. So here I
Now,
am.
when you guys have like a specific style of art or a specific liking to drawing specific characters, specific ways, does the art school kind of like ruin that muse?
For me, again, everyone's story is different. For me, I, I'm more like a lot of my characters have like rounded edges, and it's very. And so when I went to school, the teacher would tell me, I'm I'm doing it wrong. It needs to
Yeah.
be this way, and it kind of like, well, the art. I just got turned off from it.
Yeah. How about
And
you?
I, oh, sorry.
I was gonna say, how about you for you, Kat?
And see, I wanted to actually go into architecture, which is kind of opposite of what Lauren's saying. Like, she was saying how her rounded edges and it's all like cartoony. I think I was like, I want hard lines. I want to go into architecture, like shadows, perspective, things like that. So I guess like where I started and the style that I started with is actually much more like rigid and I guess like by the book. So I agree with what you said about it stifling some of the creativity, where sometimes I just want to do like whatever, and then you remember of like, well, that's not how it's supposed to be, or like that's not how you were taught, or that's not the
Yeah.
the correct way to do
I remember being in high school and taking mechanical drafting. Then after mechanical drafting was architectural drafting. I took both of those for 3 years. And when you're drawing lines, it has to be precise, straight lines. So when I started getting to art, which I'm a horrible artist, but I drew abstract, but I drew a lot of straight lines. There's a lot of edges that were very straight and structured. So my, even though it was abstract, it was very straight and structured. Like we used to or mechanically draft cars, and cars have very straight lines, stuff like that. So my inspiration, um, I would try to draw, but it wouldn't come out. I rather could be the art collector than the artist, and I collected so much. Kat, did you start as a young child as well?
Yeah, like I remember I really got into drawing comic books when I was like a freshman, sophomore in high
Mhm.
school. Like I remember I stopped a little bit in the middle of high school because like I took all the advanced classes and stuff and it got busy, but I really wanted to, again with the straight lines. I like drawing panels.
Mhm.
So I enjoyed the like little like drawing little panels and just little characters, but I think it was very like basic. I don't think like,
Did you create your own characters?
yes, they were
Oh,
based on my friends.
oh, cool. That's cool. And what about you, Lauren? What type of characters did you draw when you were younger?
Um, well, I used to back when it was like VHS tapes. I used to put in my I used to put in my, Disney, those soft cover movies they used to have in the 90s, So I used to pop in my little VHS, and if there was a scene in a particular Disney movie that I wanted to draw, or a character or a positioning that I liked, I would pause my my VHS tape, and I would draw from what I saw on the TV, and that's what I would do. I mean, all day long. Just yeah, that's what I did.
Now, today, do you guys have any who inspires you today when you're drawing? Is there any specific artist that inspires you that to draw like them or to be unique like them?
I mean, I'll be honest
Yeah.
and say I'm terrible when it comes to knowing artist names, but I still do a lot of black and white. Like
Mhm.
that's where it started, and I'll be honest and say maybe that was partially out of insecurity about color, but since then I've kind of played with color, explored with color, and I still very much like just black and white. So if anything, I like that old school comic book style, and just I don't know. I think it challenges you a little bit more, just me personally, of like, all right, what can you accomplish with just black and white? Like shadows, lines,
Mm-hmm.
things like that. So I think that's like a personal like challenge too. Keeps it interesting for myself.
How did you learn?
It's so funny how we have two completely different styles, and that's why I love it. So I like the bright colors. I get inspired by a lot of different things. Um, Definitely like the old cartoons, the old Disney. Like I don't know if there's a certain word for it, but that really scratchy kind of 60s style that
The
they used to
classic.
do. I just I love it so much, and I think that's what inspires me quite a bit. Um, but I like cat too, because I think that is a challenge to do all black and white, and my brain just doesn't work that way. I could try all day, but I couldn't do it either. But yeah, it's I think that's what inspires me, just those bright color cartoon kind of styles.
Now I'm gonna share something with the viewers. Now, this is both on Spotify, iTunes, uh, and YouTube and our own channel. But for those of you that can't see, I have a website up, and it's by Cat Atomic, BYKATATOMIC.com. Now, this is your art here, Cat. which I wanted to pull up and show some of the viewers and show some of your art off because I think you have fantastic art. Let's
If
see.
you go to collections and click art, I think art print, or no, sorry, shop and then art print.
Shop, yes.
Yeah, sorry, because that's just my new stuff.
Okay.
There you go.
There we go. Okay. And some of it is dark. I noticed that you uh kind of follow a lot of Tim Burton style of art. You like to draw Tim Burton quite a bit. You have your own style as well. Or and I noticed some of your art being Mars Attacks, like that sort of creepy vibe, but kind of like exotic, I guess you'd say.
Like, I know what you're talking about. Like, I with all of the news coming out about like aliens and UFOs, there's a heavy hand of just like out of this world, like what is out there, kind of like psychedelic vibe that I incorporate sometimes. So that's definitely a little bit there. And just like that travel theme. So I love old postcards. I actually have like that little case behind me is a collection of old
Okay.
postcards. And I like, I guess this collection came out of like, what if we could redo old school postcards today?
Um, I noticed what you're doing today. You're releasing some of the states, kind of like the travel states, with your art as well. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. That was actually amazing. I started on TikTok because I'm a late TikTok adopter. And I was reached out to by Dark Mother Clothing, whose name is also Lauren, not Lauren who is here, different Lauren. And we just started talking, and I am collaborating with her brand, her store, and we are going to release eventually down the line a collection of t-shirts, stickers of like different spooky urban legends and like just, I guess the theme is urban legends, haunted spots, and things like that from the 50 states. Because we both
That
are,
is so
like,
cool.
yeah, it's a lot of work.
So
So
it's gonna be new work applied to the clothing company.
yeah, so it will be released not under me, it will be released under Dark Mother Clothing.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go to Lauren's page. Now Lauren's page is Copper Top Ink. That's COPPER TOPINK as in ink.com. Now this is some of your work here. Now you have clothing on your site as well.
I do. That was with my collab with the Oblong Box Shop.
That is so cute.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
you kind of see that like I said, classic Disney type feel to some of your art. And then I just love what you did to a lot of the characters and and you can see the curvature that you like and enjoy in a lot of this
Yeah.
artwork, the way that you explained it.
Yes, definitely more rounded shapes and
And it
Oh,
looks
definitely.
alive. It's very flowy.
now
Yeah.
these three right here are pretty new, aren't they?
Yeah. I just did a little update.
We have the Princess and the Frog um, um, collection from her, and this is going to be a new release for you.
Yeah, so I'm actually gonna have a lot of these at your show, especially all the Halloween kind of darker prints that I have, but I'll be adding a lot of new stuff. Still working on it.
Coming up in October, right?
Yeah.
Or beforehand. Now, let's go back here. Now, Kat, you have some new art as well coming out early August.
Yes.
Fall
So
line.
yeah, so I have like a shop update happening August 1st because I recently just had a couple of things sell out. I'm getting the restock in. I actually have new pins that are going to be released on August 1st, but then my more Halloween focused, more robust drop, which is also going to be what I bring to your shop or to your
expo.
Sorry, event expo, yeah, is going to happen in September. So a little bit longer for that, but same, I'm gonna have a lot of new art.
Now, Lauren, you're working on a what a 2021 summer line, and it's Ink Garden.
Yeah, it came out with a little copper top ink garden collection. These little, I was sitting in my backyard and just started creating little characters that were in my backyard, like little flowers, little plants and things. And people really liked it. So I was like, okay. So I kind of made a whole set that I'll be launching in August
Yeah,
as well.
it's pretty creative. The way you have the cactus and other
Yeah.
plants, you gave them
It's
life.
yeah, it's funny what you'll do in quarantine when you have nothing else to do. Yeah, you're like, well, what else is back here? Yeah. So it's a very limited edition set. So I'm excited.
So, speaking of quarantine, um, that did quarantine actually inspire you to come out with new designs, or did you feel frustrated because there was nothing else to do and you had to come out with new designs because you're just dealing with either being alone or being stuck in your house?
Well, for me, I've always worked from home, so it was kind of like
That
nothing
wasn't that,
really
yeah,
changed. It was kind of the same for me. Um, the only difference is, I couldn't really go out on the weekends. I couldn't like go to a restaurant and like
yeah.
separate myself from being home all day. So that part of it was very frustrating. But for the most part, it was kind of the same thing.
What about you, Kat? Did you have any new inspirations during the quarantine?
Yeah, so one of the first drawings that I did just when I started drawing again, like during the pandemic, was actually like one of those old school pandemic doctor mask things.
Oh yeah, I love them. The like a death doctor.
Yes, yeah, yeah. Like so I had that was basically the first drawing that I did during quarantine just to be like, oh, do I still remember how to draw 10 years later? And that's sort of how it started. So I guess yes, very much influenced by the pandemic, but then I didn't really want to go too like dark with it and just, go full in on like pandemic theme because I think people just, wanted to escape that. So that's when I was like, what else do you like? And that's when yeah, the Tim Burton stuff happened. And I was like, let's just draw some Tim Burton fan art.
Yeah.
And even though like I watch a lot of Tim Burton and I like it, I just don't think I could do only like Tim Burton fan art. Like
Right.
that can't be my whole thing.
Now, you done expos before or events before, right, Lauren?
Mm-hmm.
And the pandemic kind of put you out of going out, and it's been how long since your last expo?
Oh gosh, the last one was right before the shutdown. Um, I think like early 2020. So like we're talking right before.
Right.
I did like a expo at the Bait Footwear boutique in Lamita, and that was my last one. And then it was over. Yeah.
And you like to do commissions of people where they sit down and you draw them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that definitely became a thing that I do offer, and I got that start. I was hired by NARS Cosmetics, uh, 2018, and I would go to Sephora and I'd draw the clients when they would purchase like a lipstick or whatever. So that kind of was like, oh, this would be fun to do it all of my vending events. So then I started doing Dapper Day. So people would basically just come sit with me and I draw they get like a little 5x7 of their portrait done. So I'll be doing that at your show as well.
Great, that'd be awesome for the
Yeah.
fans. Um, did you ever think about doing it professionally at like Knott's or Disneyland or one of those type of amusement parks? where you're
I
stuck
mean,
there?
I don't know. That sounds like a commitment. I
Yeah.
mean, I've sat there. I mean, with Dapper Day, I mean, I sat there for. I would have to do it in like shifts, and that alone was a lot of work. So I mean, I'd be down to try, but I don't know yet. Maybe in the future
And
they want me.
Kat, you've never done an event.
No, I'm no stranger to various just events through like jobs that I've had. Like I used to work at the YMCA once upon a time and like we did little like pop-up events, but no, like this is the first time that it'll just be like me and my stuff. And yeah,
And
I'm super nervous. Like I'm more excited than anything, but it's my first time.
That's great. And I'm
Exciting.
glad that both of you guys are doing Scare Fair, especially for your first time, Kat. We're excited for having you as well. Um, now, getting back to Lauren, with your like for Disney, um, is there any type of movies that you like to uh, that besides Disney that you like to create your art wherever you get your influence from? Any other movies? Any other um, genres of movies?
Um, I mean, I'm also very inspired about like the old Hollywood monsters. So, like your classic movie monsters are my favorite as well. I've drawn The Creature a few times, Bride of Frankenstein a ton of times.
And
Um,
you did a poodle of the Bread of Frankenstein.
They're so cute.
what was that?
I said you actually drew a poodle as the
I did.
bread. Yes, and
Yeah.
that's what we have on for your logo for Skip
Yes.
Fair. Yes.
Yes. And she's my favorite. But yeah, I get inspired by a lot of things because I'm a huge fan of horror. So anything that, it's kind of, I have the two. I have my love of Disney, but I also really love the horror side too. So I'm a little bit everywhere, definitely.
What about you, Kat? I know you talked about Tim Burton, and we talked a little bit about that. But is there anywhere else you get your inspiration from, as far as movies are concerned?
Yeah, so I definitely agree with Lauren on the all the old Hollywood movies, but I think I guess what I'm inspired by isn't like a movie, but I guess it's like a time. But that like 1960s, like early Cold War, like atomic era where like the technology is very like space oriented and just time of uncertainty, but like retrofuturism essentially. But just that whole vibe is very much what inspires me, just
And
because there's a mix of vintage, there's a mix of like space, and I can still use all that architecture background for all the lines. But yeah, it's an
that
air of
was
mystery to it.
that was a real interesting era, being the 50s, and there's an era where like Mars attack and not Mars attacks, but that similar concept of aliens coming to Earth, or even the
Mhm.
atomic era with the atomic bomb and stuff like that, and bunkers and stuff like that. I remember going to Disney during the 70s when I was a child, and they used to have several rides, and they had a people mover ride, and you get on it and it take you through the different eras through the park. And they don't have it anymore. They have the track that overheads, but it doesn't have the actual people mover cart. And then they had the rocket, and the rocket was up on top of the pizza place that they have there, and the rocket would be
Wow.
higher than the rocket they have now. And it was kind of like a rocket that you'd see back in the 50s, that style rocket as well. And I know that era that you're talking about, and it's very weird to see that that type of artwork back then.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, it's
I
that's
know exactly which rides you're talking about because I went to
Yeah.
Disneyland once, like early 90s. It's like I know that track and I know that rocket, and
yeah.
I
yep,
miss it.
you can't ride it anymore.
I
There's
miss the people mover. I used to love that ride.
they actually have a movie uh with Dennis Quaid and Martin Short, I believe, and it's called Inner Space. And it's
I've heard
where
that.
one guy's an astronaut and he gets shrunk down and goes inside another man's body. And that ride was that movie was influenced by the ride from Disney called Inner Space, where you go through, and so our Star Tours is now,
Mm.
and you
Yeah.
go through in a little cart, a little buggy, like the buggy from the Haunted Mansion, and you go through somebody's body. You're inside, you see his cells and his skeleton and everything else, and you actually, they wanted to make it like you shrunken down and then go through this guy's body. And they had that same type of concept in art that was from the 50s as well. Oh, those are awesome rides. I mean, I could remember that. I'm much older than you guys, but a lot of that's when, I don't know, the e-ticket. I don't know if you guys remember tickets
I don't
back at
remember these.
Disneyland. Yeah, we used to have a booklet, and it was the booklet of rides, and you have G, you have E, you have C, you have D. I don't remember which lands were what, but you'd have a ticket for Space Mine, or you'd have a ticket for Haunted Mansion. And once that ticket was gone, you can't write it anymore because
Oh.
you didn't have the ticket out. Your book would be depleted of your rides. Where now you can go on, if you have the time to go on uh, a ride over and over again. Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
Disney's so fun. I miss Disney.
Too.
We have had the passes for a couple of years as a family, and last year when they because of COVID they shut down. At the end of the year, they just got rid of our passes, and they're
Same here.
they still haven't posted when they're going to bring passes back on, right?
Well, I think they're gonna bring it back, but it's just not gonna be the same. It's
Yeah,
gonna be something completely different. I've had my pass since I was, oh my god, like 18,
yeah. I've
long
had
time ago.
yeah, I've had the passes
So
in and out of
sad.
my life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any theme parks that you guys really miss since the pandemic besides Disney?
Oh,
I used to have Disney annual pass a few times. Like, I'll be honest and say, super unpopular opinion. I know I'm not like ultra diehard Disney. Like, I I when I had the annual passes, we definitely like went as many times as humanly possible, you know. But with the passes, you kind of had that freedom to just like leave if you got bored or leave if it got like crazy busy.
mm-hmm.
So I definitely miss that. But I think until either passes come back or until they get like their ticket situation squared away, I think I'm gonna take a break from Disney for a little bit.
That's
Like
how
you
we
said.
are right now.
Exactly.
You
Me
get you guys are
too.
going to be shocked at the reason I got passes. The first time I got passes, the reason why, and this is the nerd in me. I used to collect pins that you wear, like these kind
Yeah.
of pins. Like I have a couple. I used to collect, especially Roger Rabbit pins, and this is one of Jessica Rabbit's pins.
Oh, I love that's cute.
That's cute.
Okay. That is when Jessica Rabbit's pins. And I used to go to the park, and when they would release the pins, they would release them twice a week. And they would have announcements of when their pins were going to release, what pin style they're going to release. And you could go in the park an hour early if you were a pin collector and just go get your pins and then go on rides. And I was a
Oh,
pin
okay.
collector, so I used to go like almost every week just to
Oh
collect
my
pins.
gosh.
Yeah. And I still have a lot of pins. And I stopped collecting pins and I stopped getting the passes up until the moment when I had younger children. Then no, I take them and they get pins. I don't collect pins as much as I used to. But yeah,
Right.
I was a pin collector back uh, 11 years ago and before. So I have a lot of Roger Rabbit pins. Who else? Chippendale pins, and I have Chippendale pins. I have some that I traded from Japan, and those are really, really
Dang.
cute pins. Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah. But my collection, I have two books. Well, I transferred the pins to these big billboards, so I have four billboards full of pins. These giant
Oh my
billboards
gosh.
just fill the pins. Yeah, yeah. And that was my reasoning to get the passes.
Well, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Okay. What type of music do you guys listen to? I always ask this because I'm a big music fan, but are you inspired by music in any way?
So,
Oh, go ahead. Go
oh,
ahead.
sorry. I was gonna say
Go ahead.
I was like a big metalhead in high school. So like I'm talking like Slipknot, Lamb of God, like the metal stuff. So I went to all those concerts like in high school, and then just like over time, I don't know, the bands themselves kind of change, and you kind of listen to different music. So I think like just alternative like rock generally is my favorite. And like eventually I'll go back to concerts, but I'm not ready yet. I know they're happening, like they're starting to happen, but like we're not ready.
So the 90s were your uh is the music that you really enjoyed, is the 90s music, correct? Like
And like 80s new
Corn.
wave.
Oh, 80s new wave. Yeah. That's where I grew up. That's my teens. What about you, Lauren?
Well, let's see. Well, lately when I work, it's a lot of. It's funny. I mean, back in the day, it was a lot of like when hardcore was a thing, right? 2002, it was like a thing to go to all those shows. And now I'm going to be 37. And when I work, I listen to murder podcasts
Oh,
for hours. And I, hours.
we
And
got to
then
get
I,
into that topic.
and then music wise, I am like, lately it's been a lot of 60s, a lot of 70s. And then I hop to like 40s, eight. I'm like kind of a little bit all over the place. It just depends like what I'm feeling that day. And if I have a lot of work to do, it's probably like 60s, 70s type music because I get really easily distracted. That's my problem. So I have to have just something in the background.
One of the bands that we're having play at Scare Fair, their name is Roadwork. Now their music is kind of unique, but they sound very good. They're a cover band, but cover various bands. They go from the 70s, 80s, 90s, but they primarily do a lot of 90s music like
Oh,
Disturbed and
nice.
Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah.
I have never heard a cover by Rage Against the Machine by any other bands, but they do Rage Against the Machine pretty good, and some other bands. But they're going to be starting off uh, Scarefair at 5:30, and then at nighttime we're going to have a Rob Zombie cover band, American Zombie. So
Oh,
the two
cool.
bands together are
Wow.
going to sound awesome, but especially Roadwork with their covers of different genres of music, and the 90s really is what they do good with.
Yeah.
You talked about murder podcasts.
Yeah. Mm.
What? No, I fall. I'll be honest with you, I fall asleep. Literally fall asleep with the headphones
Really?
on my head listening to murder podcasts. And I will listen to different type. What podcasts do you listen to?
Oh my gosh, you're okay. Okay. So of course it's my favorite murder. And then I listen to different things. So my favorite murder, I listen to 2020. I listen to Dateline. I listen to there's another one that I've just started. It's called like Vanish. Over to I'm waiting for the next ones, but Radio Rental is amazing. And
Radio
it's like
rental.
Radio Rental. And then there's another one called Spooked. And they are my two top favorite ones because they um it's basically just people talking about their scary stories and like weird things that happen to them. They're my ultimate favorite
Did you say
podcast. I
spooked?
love them.
Spooked.
It's called Spooked,
Okay.
and the other one's called Radio Rental.
You never
And
heard
it's
of Morbid?
I've heard of Morbid. I think I started it, See, I'm all.
Yeah, Morbid is these two girls from I want to say Boston because that's where they mainly do their shows, but from Massachusetts. But they do some very horrible murders, and but the thing about them is they're laughing the entire time, and
Oh, so
they're
it's
they're
like, yeah.
yeah, and they're funny. They're very funny, and from the moment you start, they go on, they're just giggling and laughing, and they get a lot of hate because people think they're laughing about the murder, and they're actually uh, they make fun of the murderer himself, how stupid he is, and how stuff like that.
Yeah.
But Morbid is one that I like, and the other one is um, Crime Junkies.
I do listen to crime. That's the other one, Crime
They're
Junkies.
more
I like them
serious.
too.
Yeah, I try to
Oh,
get.
and there's yeah. Okay, wait. Now I'm gonna forget their names. I'm bad at names.
I try to get one of either Morbid or Crime Junkies to come to Scare Fair, and couldn't get them. But we have the Taki horror picture, the Taki horror podcast show, and those
Oh,
girls are
nice.
funny. I don't know if you've seen the commercials that they've done. They've done 2 podcasts already, and they're going to do the Scream King contest. So
Oh, how
they're going to do a live
fun.
podcast there at the event.
Oh,
Um, Too bad we
That
all are
sounds
going
like
to be
so fun.
working while they're doing
I
that.
know. We're gonna
Yes.
hear them, hopefully.
So they're going to do a live podcast there at in the other building as well. Do you listen to podcasts at all, Kat?
like yes and no. I'm not really dedicated to anyone in particular. So like I've definitely watched a whole lot of Bailey Sarian on YouTube because I like makeup, I like murder mystery, all of that. She's
Yeah.
great.
I like.
But I think like I'm more like video based, I guess. Like I can't like just listen to it. Like every here and there I feel like I need to refer to a video. So I basically it's like whatever I find on YouTube. So it's like
Yeah.
if somebody is covering something I'm interested in, I'm like, oh, let's try them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What's weird about podcasts is a lot of them are audio based, and Joe Rogan, I've liked him ever since he started with news radio, and I followed his career on his whole career path. But when he launched his podcast, I started listening to it. He has some good guests, but now he has even better guests. The other day he had Quentin Tarantino on, and that to me, but with his podcast, even though they're on Spotify, when you click it, it's a video. So
Mhm.
his is you can
Oh,
see his podcast. They're on Spotify, which you can't anybody else. But that's why they're
wow.
paying him. I think he's the highest paid podcaster. I
I
think
think so.
$700 million
Sounds fun.
dollars.
Jeez.
Yeah, to
Wow.
do a
Sounds
podcast,
about
and he moved to Texas to do them there because he wanted out of California. So yeah,
right. Wow.
Hey, it's expensive, but I like it over here.
yeah. But Morbid is one of my favorites. I love
I'll
listening
have
to
to
those
listen to
girls.
that.
Yeah.
I forgot about the two, and then there's Jensen and Holes and the First Degree.
First
Those
degree.
are also good. The First Degree and Jensen and Holes. Yeah, they're great, great podcasts. Yeah, I do that.
What are your other hobbies? Either of you.
Oh, go ahead, Kat.
So I'm like, my hobby is my business. And that's just because like I make art. That's the drawing side of it. Drawing to me takes time. And then there's the whole business part of it, which is like making things, printing the art prints, putting everything in the pretty packaging. So I wish I could say I have a whole lot of other hobbies, but I really don't. Most of my free time is just back into business. If I have free time and I'm like, ooh, I have no orders to send out or I have nothing that's like due, then I'm probably either drawing something next, which is why sometimes I don't release artwork for maybe like a week or two or like 2 weeks. I know like Lauren and other artists, they like, they regularly post artwork and I'm just so jealous. Like I wish I could do that, but like I just can't. Like it takes me time.
No, you and Lauren knew each other, right? Before this podcast. You guys are friends?
I was brave and I was like, Lauren, I met you on the internet, but can we get lunch? Because I think we both live in LA.
Yeah. She
So
did. She asked me out.
I was brave. I was like, I met so many cool people over the pandemic. And I think before I was always just like, no, internet people are internet people. Like I can like follow them and whatever, but they're just like internet people. But like I just started talking to a lot of people over the pandemic who were either artists or just like, interested in the same stuff as me. And I definitely like I've met other people from the internet, like other than Lauren, but Lauren is like my first artist person that I've met from the internet.
I know, it was really fun, like to like meet people that you chatted with for so long, and then you get to like meet in person and just chat. It's just the best.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about that before we came live about how you you talk to somebody for so long on the internet, and then when you come to meet them, you never saw their face or really knew them. But a lot of people are shocked to see what I look like when we meet in person or we meet here on the podcast. um Lauren, with you, I've been trying to get your okay. I'm doing Scare Fair, a spooky event, so I'm looking up artists that have that little bit of spookiness to them, and I found your art, but your art's not truly spooky, but you should have some of that spookiness in your art as well. So I came across you, and it took me a long time to convince you to come to Scare Fair.
It did.
Is
You
there
did not. You did not give up either.
yeah. Why was that?
I was so nervous because first off, I haven't done any events at all since the shutdown. And I was just so like, well, I don't know. Should I do that? Because I was like, should I just take this year off again? So I took last year off, obviously, nothing was open. And then this year, I'm like, should I just take it off? But then, like, you're just so nice and like so convincing. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do this. This sounds like fun.
I think that's why people perceive me different, is because my attitude when I speak to them, my punctuation's right on, my thank yous and my politeness is always on. But when they meet me, they're like, "Whoa, you're not the guy I was writing to this whole time."
No.
I was following your art as well, Kat. I think I sent you an initial email, but after that, I didn't send you anything. But Lauren, you told me that you were a friend of Kat's, and I think you said, have you hit her up or see if she wants to do the event? And all of a sudden, I got a message from Kat.
Yes.
Saying
Lauren and I were talking. Okay, so it was one of my goals to do a event during the summer. Like I last year when I first like started the shop, I'm very bad with like long-term planning, I'm being honest. But with this, since like I love my art and like my growing my business, I actually have goals. So one of my goals was to do a in-person event this summer, and then with COVID being as it is, I'm glad that I didn't sign up for anything, even though I was looking.
Yeah.
So when Lauren and I were just kind of brainstorming, like, what do you think? Because I don't know if you've signed up for anything recently either, but we were just kind of talking back and forth, and then your event, like she recommended your event to me, and I like that it was in October, and then I could still kind of fulfill my commitment to self to do an event this year, but to still but to take the summer off, because now, like, I don't know, LA has to wear masks again, so
yeah,
going crazy. So we'll see where we're at in October, but at least it's not in the frenzy time of the summer where I think everyone's like
going to the events right now. It is scary. My wife got COVID back in the beginning of November last year. She had it for 2 weeks. She was hospitalized. They wanted to put her on a ventilation machine, and I said no, absolutely not. Do not put her on one. Her oxygen was down to 65, I believe, which is very bad. And
terrifying.
so they kept calling me like every day, can we put her on a ventilator? And I absolutely said, no, don't do it. Just let her, she will do better day by day. And she recovered. But it pretty much damaged her lungs. And I don't, okay, I was in the hospital just a week before she was, but I tore my ligaments, or not, my quadricep in my right leg, just a fluke freaking accident. And I tore my quadricep, and my doctor said, you have to go to the hospital. I said, I'm not going to the hospital right now. He said, you have to. You got a torn muscle. You have to go. So he called the emergency room doctor. The doctor admitted me right away. When I went to that hospital, nobody was wearing a mask. You're talking about November, the high point of COVID last year, and nobody in the hospital, not a doctor, not a nurse, was wearing a mask. And they're
Nobody?
nobody, and they're coming in and out of my room. So I go, okay, maybe COVID doesn't exist here, I guess. I don't know. So I wasn't really wearing a mask, but I was sitting in bed just in confidence of what they were doing. And
Right.
then 5 days after I was in the hospital, I got released and I came home. 3 days after I got home, she started developing a cold, what sounded
Oh
like
no.
bronchitis. And I was like, take something. I don't know what's going on. And she was getting very, very sick. Within 5 days, she was hospitalized. So, and
Oh.
she never goes anywhere. She did not leave the house once that entire year. So it must have been something that I got COVID first, but it did not affect me as bad as it affected her. Then it affected her, and she had to go to the hospital.
Oh my
Now,
God.
now coming back today, and we went to an event last week just so I could meet some of the vendors and pass out some flyers. It's scary.
It
It
is
is,
scary.
and you might see one or two masks, but
Yeah,
for the
no.
most part, nobody's walking around with a mask, or and
No.
it's scary to get back out there. Not as
It's
scary as it is because the
yeah.
numbers have dropped, but there's being an increase of another strain of the virus, but
Yep.
it's
That's why
just
I'm just, even though they're like, you don't have to wear a mask, I'm wearing my mask. I wear it everywhere
yeah,
because they're not giving any straight answers on anything.
yeah.
So I'm like, well, until then, I'm just gonna keep wearing this
And
mask.
what school's a month away for the students to go back to school, and I don't know where it's going to be next month. Um,
Yeah,
I know by October they're saying everything should be died down and it's your choice
let's
to wear a
hope.
mask or not. But I have no idea what's going on with
Well,
it.
let's
Where
keep positive that
yeah,
things are good in October at least.
yeah, but I don't like just going out in public for the first time. It literally exhausted me just going out because it was a hot day. It was an outside event. I was walking around. When we got home, we were so tired because we hadn't been out doing anything for the longest time. And
I
being there,
know.
I think we got there about 12:30 and left at like maybe 6 o'clock.
Oh, that's a full day. No, I'd be
in
in
the
bed for
in
5 days.
in the hot sun. We came home and it's like, oh my god, it was so hot. And that was in Yucaipa, an event called uh, the Night of Terror
Oh,
at the Roasted
yeah,
Dead. Yeah,
I've
that was
heard
an
about that
awesome,
event.
awesome coffee place. If you guys like to drive out of Los Angeles and go into San Bernardino County, I recommend taking a visit to Roast the Dead coffee shop. That coffee shop is awesome. It's a horror themed. It's got like a Michael
Always
Myers
sounds
inside
fun.
there,
They went
a
viral on
Jason.
TikTok. I saw them the
Oh
other
my
day.
God, they're so
Oh,
awesome. Their line was always an hour long to get coffee at that event. We went back the next day because we weren't going to wait in the sun in that long line. We'd rather walk in the shade or sit in the shade and walk around. But Roasted Ed, they
those
have
are
an
good.
awesome coffee shop. Yes.
I've been
Um,
wanting to try them for like the longest time.
yeah.
Sounds so good.
Okay. Is there anything else that you guys want to discuss because we're running out of time?
Is there anything?
No, I'm just excited to do this event. And I'm like, I know it's July, which means it's Halloween. So
I mean,
Yeah.
basically,
I'm ready.
yeah.
Literally when I started planning this, it was probably mid-May. And I was going off an old logo that was made from the event, and that's how it started. And then getting vendors on board and trying it within 2 months, we were being overwhelmed by the responses from other vendors trying to come in, and I had way overbooked vendors, about like 18 vendors, and but uh, the response that I gotten for this has been incredible. The amount of people that want to come on that can't come on, I apologize to them, but we're going to have a 2-day event already planned for next year, and we already
Yay,
have
that's
guests
awesome.
planned for next year, and so yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
So.
very, very, very excited. Like it's been cool to just have your show as like my focus because I don't think I could focus on anything else. So I've got like a new sign getting made. Like I'm trying to like put a dent in what I need to do to get done for the show. But I'm really excited. I think it's gonna be so much fun and it'll be fun to see everybody. And I'm so glad I'm gonna be stationed next to Kat. It's gonna be so great.
Yeah, you two are going to be sitting next to each other pretty much.
Yay.
Down Artist Alley, we have a tremendous amount of artists, from comic book artists. I think we have 10 comic book artists going to be there that are nationwide. And then we have local artists, about eight local artists, which is pretty cool. And
That's great.
and all of you guys, the artists are just awesome. I can't wait to have this event and have you guys in Artist Alley, and then it merges into the guests, which are Elaine Dietz from The Exorcist, um, Walter Phelan from House of a Thousand Corpses. He plays Dr. Satan.
Oh, so
Um,
cool.
Joe Bob Briggs, who does Shudder's Last Drive-In. Missy Sahagian, who's a new actress who's done Appetite for Sin, and she is the owner of the Manku Shop. Uh, John Masari, who is actually the composer and musician for Killer Clowns. He has a huge following. Oh my gosh, I went to the event last week where he was at, and he has a huge following that goes wherever he goes. So those are yeah, those are some of the artists, as well as the Talkie podcast, or the Talkie horror podcast show. They're going to be there, and Grim Life Collective is going to be there too. So awesome show. Can't wait to meet you guys. Can't wait to see you there.
I know.
It's time for us to go. It's nice talking to you guys. It was great having you on. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
for having us.
Thank you. Can't wait to meet you in person.
Yeah, it's going to come fast. I mean, weeks are going by so fast.
I know.
Okay. Well, bye. Thank you for watching, and thank you for listening to my public life as American nerd. Have a good day.